What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome on back to Football Therapy with me, your host Dan. I hope you all are doing well. I really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea News. I feel like I need like a bunch of papers to like shuffle with like a beep 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 beep. Welcome back to Chelsea News, ladies and gentlemen. The one and only best show reflecting on Chelsea news in the media, giving you my opinion. Who wants the anchor's opinion? My opinion, but more importantly asking for yours, friends. Welcome back. We wake up from a positive feeling out in the Chelsea landscape with Chelsea beating Chesterfield 5-1 at Stamford Bridge. A good away crowd, a good story for them. Lewis Hall winning man of the match for the Chelsea, only 17. A promising and positive story there, ladies and gentlemen. Feel free to go and reflect on my match review that I uploaded yesterday evening for my full and detailed thoughts on the performances and etc, etc, etc. But today, it is the January transfer window. We are reflecting on news, some sort of interesting, potentially serious news, and also some silly news, because, well, it might not actually be silly. You never know these headlines, but they will certainly be interesting. We're going to talk about Sergino Dest, Thomas Tuchel confirming Chelsea dipping into the market. Hey, maybe for both sides in terms of fullback, wingback. I want to talk about Kepa Balaga, long-term status, maybe going to Lazio at some point to go back with Maurizio Sarri. Malang Sarr to West Ham. Jeez, fam. Lots more besides. And also I want to reflect on a silly story. I'm getting in now. It's a silly story coming from El Nacional about Paris Saint Germain and Romelu Lukaku, which ultimately, if you reflect on it, and if you reflect on perhaps Lukaku not staying at Chelsea for the long term, it is PSG, you know. He's a native French speaker, it would be PSG. Anyway, before we get into it, admire my Sonic mug. Please do click a like. Click a like? Or click a like on the video. Drop a like. Like. You can tell this is the first coffee I've had in a long time. Look at that mug though, mate. A nerd at heart. Sonic. Anyway, let's start off with some Chelsea news then, shall we? Let's dip into it. We'll put a pin in the silly stuff, we'll leave that towards the end. Tuchel confirms. Let's talk about this. I'll read this from Court Offside, and cited from Thomas Tuchel's comments. Chelsea manager Thomas Tuchel seems to have signalled that he's changed his transfer plans. He changed them after holding talks with the club's board. So he's held talks with the head honchos around the table, Bruce Buck and Larry David himself and gang, and he's discussed with them. This is what's going to happen, friends. The Blues are going for a difficult run of form, and have several players missing either through injury or due to testing positive. And it seems they could force a rethink at Stamford Bridge this window, January. According to the Evening Standard, Tuchel had not initially planned to ask Chelsea for more funds in the transfer market, but now it looks like some potential deals will be investigated. The German tactician also quoted in the piece as discussing talks with the board. This is a direct quote from the Chelsea manager. We are now having talks. The report mentions one possibility of left-back Ben Chilwell's injury forcing the club to reconsider their plans, which would mean a new signing is made. Emerson Palmieri or Emerson Palmieri recalled from Lyon. We're told, we hear, we read Emerson Palmieri was the, priority. We already own him. There's no additional financial risk. He knows the group. He knows the position. They like him as a character. They only loaned him up to Lyon so he could get game time, but he's always performed quite well under Tuchel, and there's no financial risk, and they can assess the position more, soberly and better in the summer. So Palmieri was a priority, but Emerson does not have a formal recall in the contract, and it doesn't look like Lyon are going to let him back. So they'll probably have to dip into the market. Another quote from Big Tommy Tuch is as follows. We are discussing and we are in talks. Of course, with the staff and the board and the scouting. Get the scouts out there, mate. Checking the possibilities as we would always do, Tuchel is quoted. He goes on to say, but the fact is that we have some long-term injuries, we're looking into the market, we're looking into some possibilities, not in the very highest pressure. Pretty much, that's him saying, look, we're not bent over a barrel here, people. We can take it or leave it. Don't try and come and take advantage of us, when perhaps the fact is Chelsea are in a very vulnerable and difficult situation at present. Let's read on. And things have to make sense for us. Personality-wise, I quite like that. Positional-wise, and also in quality. So we have all the options and we'll check them out. And then obviously the article concludes with Chelsea started the season as title favourites. We'll end that there. So yeah, pretty much Thomas Tuchel confirming Chelsea will look into the market. And obviously at the moment, Emerson Palmieri top of the table. We've looked at Luca Digne. Luca Digne, of course, is going this winter, this month, in the coming days, weeks. Luca Digne of Everton will be sold, and he wants to stay in the Premier League. Chelsea is probably favourites to sign him. I mean, Fabrizio Romano keeps constantly tweeting out, yeah, West Ham and Chelsea are interested, but he is not going to Newcastle. No way. And I think there's 3 separate tweets / quote tweets when he just kept saying, not Newcastle. No way. To the point of where Newcastle winger and attacker Alain Saint-Maximin quoted this and went, okay, but can you clear something up, Fabrizio? Is he coming to Newcastle? A little bit of fun banter there from the French winger. Definitely not going to Newcastle. Chelsea, I mean, personally, we've reflected on this here on Football Therapy. I think he wants the same money as Marcus Alonso, which is almost, slightly more than half of what Ben Chilwell's earning. To be like a high-level competitor at left back, left wing back, it's probably worth it. You can understand why these wage demands are being made. Whether Chelsea want that, or whether they're looking for someone to come in, be a little bit more on the fringes and get paid 40k a week rather than 100k, maybe enter Sergino Dest there. So let's talk about Sergino Dest. I'm going to be citing an article from The Express by Callum Verley. Let's read a little bit about this here. I don't want to... Okay, so Barcelona are set to meet with Sergino Dest and his representatives to discuss their transfer plans, with Chelsea waiting in the wings. Thomas Tuchel wants to bring in the United States international to cover injuries for both Ben Chilwell and Reece James. That's right, Sergino Dest, a player that is widely known to be playing on both sides. Quite an offensive sort of full wing back, I suppose. Left side, right side, could be exactly what Chelsea need. If he doesn't have incredible high wages, could be the ticket over perhaps a Luca Digne, who will only play on the left-hand side and who would probably command double the wages what Sergino Dest would command. Of course, Dest is very young still. He's a USA international, which their stock is rising. Of course, Pulisic's the sort of jewel in the crown in terms of marketing value. But if you bring in, another one, you capture more of the American market. Like, wow, look at Chelsea. They've got Pulisic and Dest. And, they're champions of Europe and they play in London and all this stuff. Do you know what I mean? So let's read on a little bit here. Talking about Barcelona, despite forking out 55 million on Ferran Torres, they cannot register the ex-Man City star until they sort out their wage bill. Of course, we've spoken about this before here in Football Therapy. Barcelona need to lower their wage bill to meet the salary cap out in La Liga. So, getting rid of more players could do that. According to today's edition of the Sunday Mirror, or more tabloid action there, Barca are set to meet with the United States international, with the club split over whether or not to sell him after being valued at £17 million. 1-7. I heard it's about 16.5, which is 20 million euros, I believe. It could be a bargain. So if Dest isn't considered a favourite by Xavi, certainly perhaps not a really important figure in the long-term plans, which might bring your own concerns as a Chelsea fan, but maybe not, because you'd sort of be this there's a relatively low risk. If Dest goes to the Barcelona board, I want to go to Chelsea. They're wicked. Pulisic's there. I speak English. I want to go and live in London, hang out with Christian Pulisic, hang out with the champions of Europe. They're a more competitive team at Barca in the moment. I fancy a bit of that. And then Chelsea don't say to him, look, mate, you're a starter and you're going to be king. It's like, look, you have an opportunity here while we're in a vulnerable moment. Try and make a position yours. Try and give us a headache. And if he doesn't, Chelsea have only outlaid 16.5 million on a young USA international who's played for Barcelona, Ajax, and now Chelsea. Their assets got value. They're just going to have value. They're going to train. He's going to train with the best under Thomas Tuchel. You're not going to lose money, it feels like, on Sergino Dest, you know what I mean? So it's not going to be one of these Zappa Costa, Danny Drinkwater moments, in my opinion. So that's what's happening with Dest. Obviously, Luca Digne and Dest updates, I will keep you guys locked. There's a few more silly stories that I want to talk about here. But make sure you've got that bell notifications icon switched on for any transfer updates in this, what is an open transfer window, lest we forget. So let's talk about Kepa Arrizabalaga, Chelsea's number 1 at the moment. Of course, he got a rest for Chelsea's current number 2, Bettinelli, to get a game in the FA Cup. I'm going to cite, I believe it's Simon Johnson's article in The Athletic a few days ago talking about Kepa. Excuse me, he did talk about at the end of this article, if he does leave Chelsea, Aretha Balaga of course, it seems a loan deal is most likely, and it's believed all the talk of Lazio's interest has got some merit to it. Ex-Chelsea boss Maurizio Sarri is now in charge of the Rome side, and Kepa admitted in his article to the Players' Tribune that, quote, I still have a fantastic relationship with Maurizio Sarri. However, Chelsea would have to pay a large amount of his wages as a part of any move. Lazio aren't going to be in a position to pay his full salary. Interesting to hear he's still got an amazing relationship with Maurizio Sarri, because I was in Wembley when he refused to... I remember looking at him refusing to come off with Maurizio Sarri. I've never seen a manager nearly explode. Maurizio Sarri nearly left Wembley. Now, I know we're harking back here, it's a bit of a meme, but it's kind of nice. It's nice that they've gone past such a radically explosive moment and maintained a good relationship. So, but I don't want Kepa to go. I think he's like an amazing number 2 now. Probably, if we're realistic with ourselves, he's probably an untenable number 2 at those wages. He gets paid much higher wages than Edouard Mendy, and he's the number 2, so you'd understand if Chelsea could get rid of Kepa, reluctantly. I mean, if they could just swap the wages between Mendy and Kepa and everyone stays like that, they'd probably be happy. But because they can't do that, they'd probably try and do something with Kepa, sell him to go and be a high-profile number 1 somewhere, and then, double Mendy's wages. That's essentially what they'd like to do, probably. Before we talk about Romelu Lukaku and PSG, let's talk about this. West Ham report, this is coming from Hammers News, so it's a West Ham website. West Ham reportedly could have a good chance of signing Malang Sarr from Chelsea this month. January, that seems mental to me. French outlet Foot Mercato claims that earlier this week that the Hammers are eyeing up a move for the 22-year-old at Chelsea ace. Doesn't surprise me. They like a French Chelsea centre-back. They just bought Kurt Zouma. They've never looked back. He's their highest earner, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Certainly their highest defender. I have a feeling he's their highest earner, which is mental for a centre-back. But they love it. They love the purchase of Kurt Zouma. And they'd probably be thinking, imagine Zouma and Sarr together. That might be... Sarr's a good defender, man. There was doubts at his time about West Ham's chances prizing away Sarr from Stamford Bridge. It was suggested at the time that both clubs, Thomas Tuchel, would be crazy to move another player to West Ham, considering the fact that we are currently 9 points behind Chelsea with a game in hand. I don't know about that, about them catching up with Chelsea. Probably more unlikely due to the fact how we've got loads of games, we've got injured players, you've got, Vale playing in the back three, you've got Lewis Baker playing in the back three, and Malang Sarr. I think he'll probably won't want to get rid of any more defenders this winter, but I would be interested to see what happens with Malang Sarr. I doubt come the summer he'll be like, well, he's been with us loads, he's a good rotational option, let's keep him. Chelsea will probably just think, no, he's done his value stock good being at Chelsea, because we thought he was meant to be on loan in the summer, it fell through, he ended up hanging out with Chelsea. They were probably prepared for him to just linger in the development squad, but no, Thomas Tuchel utilised him quite a lot, by the way. Some Prem games, lots of Cup games, and his stock's probably gone higher. He's held his own in the Champions of Europe. Chelsea will look to sell him in the summer, I think. Although maybe if he plays more and more and more to the end of the season, there's another injury and he becomes a starter, and then who knows, maybe we keep him. I think it's highly unlikely. Personally, right, I want to end on this, thehardtackle.com, because this came up when I was looking at news regarding Romelu Lukaku. Pinch of salt, ladies and gentlemen. PSG set sights on Chelsea striker Romelu Lukaku. Paris Saint Germain have expressed an interest in Chelsea forward Romelu Lukaku, with the French giants prepared to fork out €90 million, which is only about £75 million or something. Context first, let's speculate and play along with this theorising world. Kylian Mbappe is going on a free transfer, and they'll need a sort of talismanic centre forward. They don't mind playing slightly older players. Rom will be 29, theoretically. Obviously, they had Ibrahimovic when he was 35. They had Cavani, 31, 32. So they'll have no problem signing an elite prime 29-year-old in Romelu Lukaku. And I've got, like I said, native French speaker. Theoretically, if Rom leaves Chelsea, where's he going to go? He's not going to go to Man City. Chelsea won't sell him to City. He's not going to go back to Inter. Inter won't have him back. The Liga giants can't buy him. Bayern Munich certainly won't buy him. I can't remember who said this, but they'll see what Romelu did in that interview, and Bayern Munich don't go near players like that behave like that. So where would he go? It's one glaring option. They'll pay him a lot of money. They'll pay him his wages. He speaks French. He can get loads of goals, and he'll feel like a king out there. It would be Paris Saint Germain. This is, of course, reacting to a speculative story. Do not quote me. I'm not reporting this as news. I'm reporting off a report from Spain. A recent report from El Nacional has offered an update on the future of Romelu Lukaku. The Chelsea forward has dominated the headlines in recent weeks after his comments on Inter Milan and his regrets in leaving the San Siro in favour of a return to Stamford Bridge. Lukaku's interview with Sky Italia has left the majority of Chelsea fans upset, despite the subsequent apology. Excuse me there. Lukaku's struggles on and off the pitch compelled Chelsea owner Roman Abramovich to ponder a potential sale. The Russian oligarch is even willing to sanction the player's exit if he can recoup the eye-catching $115 million investment he made in the summer. He has put several top clubs on alert, including PSG. What, several top clubs? I can't see anyone else other than PSG. Having scored 64 goals in 95 competitive appearances for Milan, which is excellent. Inter, not Milan. Many believe Lukaku would be the missing piece in the jigsaw for Chelsea and may see them truly compete with Man City. However, his comments with Inter weren't enough. The Belgian has found it difficult to settle back into English football. I don't really know too much. I think he looked alright. I think he looked good at points, Lukaku. Perhaps misused, and I know it was the FA Cup, but running that right channel, he wasn't good necessarily in the FA Cup, but he looks like he was in a native position in that right-hand side. I think it's too early to judge Lukaku. He's been a difference maker for Chelsea often, and he's looked like Chelsea, if you look at the Chelsea's win percentage with him in the team and with him out the team, it's like an extra 15% this season. So, we're better with him, but it just depends. Look, I don't see him going, but maybe if he does go, let's be honest, it will probably be to PSG. If you read the room and you sort of look at the situation, that's what would make the most sense. Guys, this video has been really long. I hope you don't mind. I hope you like watching the longer videos. If you've enjoyed it, please do drop a like. It means a lot. I've spoken about so much stuff today. You're all welcome to subscribe, and should you subscribe, make sure the bell notifications icon is turned on so you're the first to get updated. Friends, thank you for joining me. Enjoy the football, and I'll see you later.